DeMitrious Wyant. I'm 36. I'm sorry, I'm 35. I was just talking to my man in the back, and we got the same birthday, 7/21. So we're going to talk about our birthday coming up. I'm 35 years of age. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I currently reside in Orlando, Florida, and I have sickle cell genotype SS.
You read, there was kind of this assumption that it was going to be a women's health organization. And full disclosure, it probably was going to be until I thought about you and your story. Because you kind of had a really impactful story with reproductive health. So can you share with the audience?
So I battled with Priapism starting at the age of 15, and I was kicked out of pediatrics at 15 because of my Priapism. They thought that I needed to see an adult urologist and that I needed to see adult care because of my Priapism. So at 15, I was looking at adult care, and a lot of the urologists and the specialists that I was working with or seeing, they weren't educated on Priapism, nor were they educated on Priapism and sickle cell. So I struggled and I battled. My Priapism progressively got worse year after year. It started with stuttering Priapism, and then after that, it just was full-blown Priapism. Ischemic Priapism is what it's called. And I had to have 2 penile prosthesis surgeries because of the Priapism. I was getting aspirations almost every other day, going to the ER. I was erected for 32 hours one time, and I have a documentary that I created with all of this that was going on and me trying to get help with this Priapism. 31 days I spent inside the hospital in Florida, and I was 28, and nobody wanted to help me. They told me I needed to see a psychiatrist because this is nothing that you just come into the hospital and say, hey, I need a surgery, because what I was fed up, and I had did all the research that I needed to do. I understood Priapism that I was dealing with, and I wanted to get the surgery because the quality of life that I was receiving, I didn't care to live, because my whole life was going to the ER and getting needles stuck in the side of my penis to drain it. Like, that was draining me. My quality of life was down, and so I wanted to change the narrative with Priapism and men with sickle cell, because I never heard anybody talking about Priapism. I never heard any education behind Priapism. I was never able to research and find videos that I can learn off of. I was never able to hear seminars and anybody talk about Priapism. So I told myself while I was in the hospital going through these surgeries that I was going to be able to be the voice for men that's living with Priapism, because it's a topic that a lot of men don't touch on, because it's very vulnerable, and a lot of men don't understand it, and they don't want to talk about it. So I wanted to make sure that I was being able to be boisterous and educated enough to teach about it. So I started an initiative called Save the Male Trunks. And what that is education about Priapism for young men, caregivers, and adult men who live with Priapism with sickle cell. And it's a pamphlet, an educational tool piece that you can use, a brochure, and it tells you steps-by-step things that you can do before you have to go to the ER, preventative measures that you take before you have to go seek help and get aspirations and needles put in the side of your penis for it to go down, and before you have to go to surgeries. See, I didn't have the education that I needed, so I had to jump to surgery because it was just spiraled out of control. But I want to have men to understand that they can take preventative measures and live well with sickle cell and Priapism before having to get these surgeries. So the doctor that worked on me with Priapism, he wasn't educated. He's done thousands of surgeries, but he never done a surgery with a person with sickle cell. And usually he told me that the surgery would be 15 to 20 minutes and I'll be done. My surgery was 1 hour and 45 minutes. And when he woke me up from the surgery, he was just next to me. He shook my hand and was so compassionate. He said, man, I have never seen someone so young battle with what you battle with. He said, you've developed so much scar tissue in your penis that I had to scrape for hours and minutes just to get all of this gunk and junk. And that was from the aspirations, the phenylephrine, and the stuff that was supposed to numb it and make it go down. So I'm very grateful to be here today. When Tiana approached me with reproductive health, I told her no. And only because I was ignorant to the fact of what she was really doing, and I have a lot going on in the sickle cell community, and I'm like, reproductive health, what do you want me to do with reproductive health? But I sat in on a comp, I believe it was a call that you had, and no, it was in Florida for a sickle cell conference, and my urologist doctor was there. He was awarded with an award, and it was there where I realized that reproductive health and priapism is one and the same. You know, it's not only for women who go through infertility, but it's also for men. And I wanted the voice of the men who live with priapism and battle with sickle cell to be echoed and loud. And I called up Tiana the next day. I said, listen, I'm all in. What do I got to do? What do we need to do? And this is what we're doing. Reproductive health with sickle cell, and priapism is added into there as well for the men who battle. I wanted to add that I have an educational documentary. I said that I have that documentary. I created that while going through the 2 surgeries. So the first surgery that I had to have was a shunt procedure is what they called it. So that's just when they put the pump inside your penis, and you have to like pump up on the testicle so it pumps it up and down. That didn't work for me. That whole thing was just a mess, and it failed. So 2 weeks later, I found myself back in the operating room to get a second surgery on my penis. And man, it was, I'm 28 years old, and I'm like, this can't be life for me. But all in all, man, God had grace and mercy on me. He knew that the story needed to be told. I'm just blessed that I was able to be the vessel that can be able to tell the story, because I'm not the only one that battles with priapism. There's thousands of young men who deal with this, and they don't understand it. And I just want to make sure that we educate and push the line for people to get understanding on sickle cell, that they can live well and have healthy life with sickle cell if they have the proper education. Thank you.